Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Made it to Vermont. This is the adventure for my son. He's doing a 300-mile ride from the very northeastern tip of Vermont down to the southwestern tip of Vermont. It's about 300 miles, all trails, basically gravel roads, some class 4 trails. So he's got a heck of a ride ahead of him. I think there's over 30,000 feet of elevation changes up and down, which is like riding your bike over, Mount Everest. So I'm just a chase car, following him around with my truck, meeting him every 35 miles or so he can refill with his waters and his food and maybe change clothes if he needs to. But I'm driving between the motel where we stayed last night and the first stop, which he'll probably get to in about an hour and a half. And I was passing by Norton Lake in Norton, Vermont. And if you guys can see it, it's huge, it's beautiful, the sun is out. I'm standing on a dock near a fishing access, and it's gorgeous. So that's an update on the journey. If I'm slower to get back to folks, that's why. Just drove through several places where there was zero cell phone access. I was trying to talk to my mom, and the phone kept on cutting out. So I'm in the middle of nowhere. So if I'm not getting back to you, that's why. Please be patient. Today's topic, I want to talk about kind of a harsh truth. You can't have it both ways. And I'll get to that in a second. I'll let you folks just really enjoy this view. It's gorgeous. There's a little island over that way, in the middle of the water. So cool. So cool. Wish I had my kayak and my fishing gear. I'd be paddling around having some fun. So breathe in the nature. Breathe in the peace. It's like nobody up this way. It's amazing. All right, so a little bit of harsh truth here. You can't have it both ways. And what I mean by that is our natural response to any fear or symptoms is typically, fear. Fear, sometimes panic, depending upon the amount of health awareness and health anxiety we may have been taught throughout our lifetimes, and throughout, based on the amount of health situations we've had to basically experience throughout our lives. So the normal response is fear, right? And then people find out about this TMS mind-body journey. I'm going to turn because I think it's pretty windy. They find out about this TMS mind-body journey, and then they, may try to do this, various techniques, whether it be journaling, meditation, somatic tracking, indifference, telling yourself that you're safe. And then when it doesn't work, they get frustrated. And so when I say you can't have it both ways, what I mean is you can't be terrified of what's going on and yet frustrated if in fact these techniques don't work. Perceived danger is what turned on and keeps the symptoms on. So if you are allowing yourself to fall into the fear and the panic and the freak out, it would be not logical to assume that while you are in that state of fear and panic with racing catastrophic thoughts, it would be irrational to assume that these techniques are going to turn that off and convince the brain that you're actually okay. The brain is following your conscious lead. The subconscious is protecting us with these symptoms. They're warning signals, and it's based on the brain's subconscious perception of danger. Sometimes it's conscious awareness, sometimes it's subconscious, but we don't have conscious control over the pain. I can't look at my hand and say, hurt. It's not going to work. I can't look at my hand and say, stop hurting. Not going to work. It's all controlled by the brain and its perception of danger. And so, you can't have it both ways. You can't be in a panic every time your pain goes up or shifts or moves or changes, and yet expect a little bit of meditation to turn it off, or a little bit of somatic tracking or journaling. You can't expect it if you're still allowing the fear to control your thoughts and your mindset and your attitude and your approach. You can't have it both ways. And if you want to be in a panic and frustrated, I haven't seen that as a winning recipe for getting well. I just haven't. So if you'd like to move towards recovery, that's why I talk so much about using accurate knowledge to dial down the fear so you can pull yourself out of that panic state. You can pull yourself out of the terror and the fear and the frustration and the despair that, oh my God, this is going to be around forever. Right? We got to use the accurate knowledge of what is going on in order to dial down the fear so that we can dial down the danger signals so that the brain can interpret, oh, we're safer than we thought. Let's start to lower things down. But if every time you notice a symptom or it changes, it goes up, it goes sideways, it moves, it, I guess morphs a little bit into a different type of sensation. If every single time that happens, your immediate response is, oh my God. And then you say, all right, let me get a grip, let me meditate. Darn it, it's not working. You can't have panic and frustration at the same time and expect it to get better. Now, I will say this. Even the people who have been able to really accept what's going on and are no longer as afraid as they used to can still get really frustrated and angry with the pain because this process is not working. But if you're getting super frustrated and super angry that these techniques are not working for you, there's still underlying fear there. There's an expectation that I should be able to get better like that, right? And there's a frustration that it's not working. And then we draw these conclusions that this isn't going to work for me. And now they fall even deeper into fear and despair because, oh my God, what if this doesn't work? This might be my last chance at recovery because I've tried everything else in the medical world. So this has to work. And therefore there's so much self-imposed pressure and judgment at every little change. The symptoms are going to move. They're going to change. And if they don't move, they'll probably change. They'll go up. They'll go down. They'll baseline. Sometimes they're fairly constant. The people who have fairly constant pain, especially the ones at a high degree, they say, well, maybe it's not TMS because my symptoms aren't changing or moving. Well, it can still be TMS. But the reason it's not changing is because the perceived danger is always at a high level, right? So I hope that makes sense. So the harsh truth is, as long as you are getting super frustrated at the lack of results or that it hasn't happened yet, or if you are super terrified at every time you notice the symptoms, whether it be constant or changing or moving, that's not the roadmap to recovery. The roadmap to recovery is accurate information so you can dial down the fear. The roadmap to recovery is calm reassurance, ideally indifference, where you can go, okay, I hurt again today. I've hurt for hundreds of days, thousands of days in a row. So what? Big deal. I know I'm actually okay. So I'm going to dial down the fear. And if I notice the symptoms, or they change, or I get a new symptom, I'm not going to allow the fear and the panic to take over because I know that I'm actually okay. That this is all just the brain in a high state of alertness, awareness, vigilance, looking out for danger. And when you're still in that state up here, the brain's going to it's going to perceive danger. So the harsh truth is, if you're in a panic, you can't be frustrated too, because just flat out panicking isn't going to work. And so why be frustrated? I don't know. Not judging, not criticizing, just trying to point you in the right direction to say, we got to dial down the fear. If you're uncertain if what you've got is TMS, you got to figure that out. Go to my start page, my getting started page. Go to painfreeyou.com/start, or go to the get help menu and click on getting started. You got to get clear. There's a couple of assessments there. Once you have been told by these assessments, yes, it's TMS, the judge has reached the jury has reached a verdict. Case closed. No more investigation needed. And even if things switch around or you get a new symptom, don't immediately jump to, oh my God, my left pinky hurts. What did I do to it? Oh, I better get this checked out, right? Because at that point, what you're doing is you're feeding the symptom with fear. And as I've said many times before, fear plus attention is what keeps them going. So the best response to a new symptom or a changing symptom or an increase in symptom is to go, oh, I don't need to figure it out because I already know. It's all perceived danger. I don't have to figure out exactly what that perceived danger is because some of that's subconscious. And we're not going to be able to know with certainty. So don't worry about that. Jump right to calm, reassurance, and safety. There's not a downside to that. Now, trust your intuition. If something feels dramatically wrong, like horribly, horribly wrong, like life-threateningly wrong, get yourself to the doctor, to the hospital. Don't just assume everything is TMS. But if it's, wow, my pain turned into tingling and numbness, it doesn't necessarily mean you got to go running out and spend the next 6 months eliminating everything possible that could ever cause tingling or numbness or whatever. You can assume that if your previous pain was TMS, then this likely is too, right? It's just a different manifestation of it. And sometimes symptoms may show up in other places due to the danger increasing. In some cases, the original symptom may or may not go away, but if it does, it means you've done a pretty good job in teaching your brain that, oh, my back isn't really a problem, but the brain and nervous system is still way up here, and it may find a different perceived danger somewhere else. That's all that's going on. So try not to get frustrated, because frustration means essentially underlying fear. And frustration is based on not seeing a change and, despair that, holy crap, this isn't working. What am I doing wrong is a very common response, but you're not doing anything wrong. You just haven't convinced the brain yet that you're safe. That's it. So you don't get to have it both ways. If you're going to walk around panicking every time you feel a symptom, whether it be the original, the same, if it moves, if it changes, and you're in a panic, why be frustrated that the symptoms aren't going away just because you're meditating or journaling, right? You got to get rid of the panic first. You got to learn to respond differently with more calm reassurance and more clarity and more certainty that I know I'm okay. I hope this makes sense. So zero judgment, zero criticism for anybody. I just really want to make it clear. Fear and frustration is not the way out. So, love you guys and gals. I'm going to give you one more peek at this beautiful lake. It's called Norton Lake in Norton, Vermont. I'm at the fishing access little road. There's a little ramp here where people can, bring their boats back in. Shame I don't have my kayak, but wouldn't have had time with all the stops I've got to make and go pick up Matt. So, hope everybody is doing well. And again, if I don't get back to people quickly or if I'm not as present on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube with the comments, that's why. I may not have a signal. So, I'm going to enjoy the downtime. I'll shoot these videos for you. Hopefully the hotel later has a decent enough Wi-Fi connection I can upload it. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Love you guys and gals. Take care.